It's actually embarrassing how hyperbolic this statement isn't. Journaling changed my life last year, tangibly vastly improved it, the most obvious case of this being where I have gathered you all here today. Yes, this YouTube channel. I did, in fact, break free of my corporate overlords earlier this year to become a full-time content creator. But while on the surface, you might think that change was like literally down to journaling, because I do in fact journal in my videos. That is not the case. The real driving factor in how journaling changed my life applies to you too, and it can be described in one simple word: space. Modern life is completely overstimulating, and look, that is the nicest way I can put it, but you've seen this video length. We do not have the time to get into that right now. At the core of the problems journaling solves for me though is overload. Mental overload, information overload, and emotional overload. All of those things keep us foggy, distracted, and stressed. And listen, the neurospicy brain demons do that enough for me already, okay? They really and truly do not need any external help. Journaling, however, creates the opportunity to pause, to process and think on paper. Heavy on the think, because that is what helped me build my channel up. You know how fire needs oxygen to burn and spread? Turns out my brain's neurons are the same. They need a bit of space, a bit of mental oxygen to get those synapses firing. And maybe there's something to that. I came across this study, Demystifying the New Dilemma of Brain Rot in the Digital Era, a review. And to quote, engagement in non-digital activities acts as an effective counterbalance to cognitive drain caused by excessive screen time. These activities, music, writing, outdoor adventures, and volunteer work, not only provide a much needed break from screens, but also serve as stress relievers for the mind and emotional well-being. So, welcome to my journaling compilation. Here are my favorite journaling tutorials and videos from the past 8 months to A, give you a ton of ideas and different practices you can start with, and B, show you how much journaling is not a fixed, rigid thing. It absolutely flexes to meet you where you're at, whether that's looking for an off-screen creative outlet or looking for a more practical tool to feel sharper in your day-to-day. And as a little bonus, at the end of this compilation is a tour of my supplies. Yes, my friends, I have seen your comments and I am here to provide. Obviously, there are video chapters and you can jump ahead, but I've put it at the end because if you are a new viewer and just starting your journaling journey, really and truly, supplies do not matter. You'll hopefully see that throughout these videos. A lot of my favorite practices are just paper and pen. A lot of my journal pages are also ugly, and there is no way in hell that you need to look at my stash or anyone else's and think that you need the same amount of supplies. You do not. You need a journal and a pen. That is it. That being said, obviously I am a massive stationery lover and I am very excited to share some of my favorite stationery finds with you all later. While we're talking about desktop hobbies, let's not forget about our workspaces, and today's sponsor FlexiSpot is perfect for that. My boyfriend is also a big hobbyist. He loves music production, and unfortunately, because he needs so much tech for that, he'd been kind of stuck with his desk setup. When FlexiSpot reached out to me though, I saw how customizable the desks are, both in sizes and also aesthetics, and I thought, well, we can work with that. Now, at the big old age of 27, I absolutely could not work without a standing desk. My back simply would not allow it. So, how could I leave my boyfriend to that fate? It would be cruel. I've already hidden him away under the stairs. FlexiSpot's heavy-duty E7 desk was perfect though, because it can take a lot of weight, up to 125 kilograms of weight, perfect for this insane tape recorder we picked up last weekend, and it's also really stable, so he can easily switch between sitting and standing without fearing for his equipment's life. Plus, it's spacious enough to fit everything he needs both for work and his music production. These desks are really affordable and easy to set up, so highly recommend. Thank you to FlexiSpot for sending us one, and if you're interested in upgrading your workstation, check out FlexiSpot's website. Link will be in the description and the pinned comment. So you want to document your life in a tangible way that won't be lost to the ether once you inevitably decide, actually fuck social media, I'm escaping this hell dimension, only to realize all your photos and accompanying memories were hosted on said social media platforms. All your country rapidly descends into fascism and all your social medias get censored, and you once commented something radical like women should have equal rights, so your accounts get deleted. But that's not gonna happen, that would be crazy. Anyways, you should start a journal. And before you say to me, oh, but I'll just be inconsistent or I won't use it regularly enough, that's the point of this video, you sweet summer child. I have been journaling consistently, inconsistently, pretty much my whole life. For reference, this is my 2019 travel journal that you're looking at. I am a pro at not being consistent, but still managing to document my life in physical form. So if that sounds more your speed, let me share some of my favorite journal spread ideas where it doesn't matter if it's been a week or 2 months since your last update. Wait, let me run my intro real quick. Hi friends, my name's Mia and I chat it while I make. So if you like making things or background noise while you do your dishes, hit subscribe. Today we're talking about collection pages. That's an unofficial term, okay? There might be a real name for this, I don't know what it is. What I mean by a collection page is essentially a page dedicated to a collection of things rather than just one. For example, a journal page dedicated to a seasonal memory dump rather than just what you did today. I like to create these in 2 ways. So one, a collection that builds over time, i.e. I go back to the page and add to it, like my good things garden, which is a page I filled out over a couple of months. But that does mean that I've got a fun journal idea for you. So today we're going to be making a good things garden. And listen, this one is a bit of a trust the process moment. Just stick with me. So the concept is a collection page where it's going to build over time. And basically you're just going to add a little flower for good things that happen across the next couple of months. This is my garden so far. What do we think? Two, a retrospective brain dump, often used when there's been a bit of a gap in my journaling, either time-wise or sometimes topic-wise. These are great for inconsistent journalers because you get a lot of bang for your buck time-wise. So let's say you only journal once a month, but that entry is always a collection of that month's highlights. Well, look at you go, you're documenting your life. Now that you get what I'm putting down, let's look at some specific examples. Number one, a museum of spread. This is what I've been creating in the background so far. So I decided to go with a museum of madness because, listen, I don't need to explain. You have access to the internet. You know why the world is pissing me off recently. For this, you could draw the art or you could use printed photos with mini write-ups behind them. There's a lot of fun to be had here, but not by me because this spread is dedicated to things I do not find fun at all. Some ideas that you could try: museum of people you love, museum of me with your current interests and influences listed, museum of the month with your monthly recap. Okay, so this is just like editing me, right? But something I find really funny. So obviously I do sometimes journal about politics and just all the crazy shit that is happening in our timeline. I mean, of course, how could I not? And I follow a lot of other journaling content creators where we're all pretty down bad for stickers, right? So sometimes I just imagine like the next few generations of historians looking at people's journals, just kind of thinking, what were people doing during the AI takeover or World War III? And they open my journal and it's just like, democracy fell today with a sad face sticker. Okay, I'm going to bed now. Idea number two, a good things garden or good things bakery. This is one of my favorite journal pages of 2025 and I need to start another one. Basically, you just doodle a little flower for each good thing that happens and you slowly build up your garden. I would usually add things in bulk every few weeks and can confirm this one is really fun to look back on. Alternatively, another version of this I did was a good things bakery. This was a roundup spread of recent good things rather than one I built up over time. Idea number three, a creative project chart. Obviously, this can be tailored to fit your life, goals, interests, whatnot, but as a girly who enjoys creativity, I have a few pages dedicated to recent creative pursuits. One was my creative reward chart. Alas, I ran out of stickers, but we made a good dent in it. And one was a roundup of my 30 days of hobbies challenge where I detailed everything I made. Some more fun ideas along this loose theme. You could create a forest collection page where you add a tree each time you do something, a night sky where you add stars 1,000 planets. I kind of want to make a spread where it's like an empty bookshelf and I add a little trinket each time. That could be cute. Idea number 4, an achievement bouquet. This is another easy roundup idea. If you're anything like me, you spend so much mental energy setting goals and working towards them, and then on setting more goals and working towards them. This isn't a bad thing, okay? I love me a full sense of purpose, but this journal idea is for documenting your wins along the way. Create a bouquet shape, I cut a sticker down to size for that, and just add a flower for each success. Idea number 5, your actual current collections. I have a few examples of these across my journals, but sometimes it's cool to look back at what you were interested in at any point in time. And these spreads are great for that. A few I've made include my Juicy Couture charm collection. I love these. I've stopped expanding my collection because I have enough of them, but I did make a little page dedicated to them. My personal uniform, basically what outfits I pretty much live in, so I can look back and see how my personal style has just not developed over the years. In this video, I've tried to avoid pages with photos of like me and my friends, so I do have some other pages that are dedicated to my favorite albums, books, that kind of thing too. Okay, my friends, those are my ideas. Thank you to everyone who voted on my weekly poll for this video, by the way. I was terrified of editing that Ali Hazelwood video. I feel like it's gonna be well over an hour, so I'm very glad I did an interest check before I started. Let me know if there's anything specific you want to see from me, and keep an eye out for my community tab, because I actually do like that whole like voting for what you guys actually want to see thing. That's probably going to be recurring. Okay, my friends, we shall end at the end. I hope this video gave you some inspiration for fun ways to document your life, even if you're not the most consistent journaler out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop me a comment telling me what your favorite journal ideas are, because I'm always looking for more inspiration. Okay, bye. Do you remember the last time you were moved by something? That you read or watched something that inspired curiosity, maybe even fundamentally changed you in some way? And listen, I'm not saying it has to be revolutionary, but maybe you watched a really interesting video essay about weird shit the CIA gets up to, and it sparked your interest in history and finding out more about weird shit the CIA gets up to. Like pretending to be vampires and God. Or maybe you watched that video about how Elon Musk's brainchild AI, in a completely unforeseen turn of events, went pro-Hitler, and you fell into a deep pit of existential dread. Unless the AI slop ecosystem already has you in its clutches, a few things probably come to mind. There is no shortage of thought-provoking, educational, creative media out there. However, what did you do after that? Like, whatever inspiration or motivation you felt after consuming that media, that lingering last thought, what happened next? The rapid pace at which we consume media means that it loses its potency. And how could it not? If you, for example, are watching a frankly terrifying video about how maybe putting super intelligence that we can't control into the hands of egotistical, hyper-competitive men might be a bad idea, and that video talks about some of the real-world things that have already happened, and some of the ways that we might want to try to, you know, beg our lords and masters to please, sir, please put some safety regulations in place before it's too late, a point that rapidly might be approaching. Anyways, you kind of need to sit in that emotion, whether that's to reflect on what you just watched, ingest the information into the mental folder you have where the cover is the lyrics of Paris Paloma's Good Boy music video with the captions of Emma Thompson saying, "I knew one day I'd have to watch powerful men burn the world down, I just didn't expect them to be such losers," and the only file was a photo of Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk skipping along the beach. Or maybe to inspire you to take action, sign a petition, try to break free of the grip Gen Z nihilism has on you. Either way, there is a lot of power in that lingering last thought, in the silence that follows the end, that space in which you can process whatever you just experienced. Unless you're on literally any platform ever in the year 2025. As soon as a video ends, another auto plays. If you're on a streaming platform, you finish a movie, and while the credits are running, a trailer advertises the next thing. It's a constant wheel of consumption, and not only are our brains just not designed for that, I think it weakens the impact the media we consume actually has on us, even if we care and are engaged. For example, jokes aside, AI safety is something I really care about. I'm a lifelong sci-fi reader after general. It's something I find deeply scary, both on a species level, but also for us as the individuals who will live through the first generation of it. I don't want to get too off track. My point is that this video I watched, right? Great piece of media. It was educational, it was emotive, it was also entertaining, and it left me feeling terrified, but also thinking, oh my god, what can I do? And then it provided options for things I could do. And then a bonsai video auto-played immediately, and we were on to the next. It was only a few days later, as I was detangling my hair in the shower, that the existential dread found its way back to me. And that processing time is what prompted me to go back and actually read through the actionable steps they shared, to visit the links, to sign the petitions. This video I'm talking about is, of course, linked in the description box. Go watch it. Now, mindful media consumption had already been a topic on my mind, although previously more relating to learning and retaining information, but this was a good kick up the arse to refine my system. Also, guys, this is kind of awkward, but I forgot to script in my intro, so there's no natural place to put this. Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Mia and I chat shit while I make shit. So if you like making things or just background noise while you do your dishes, hit subscribe and like, and also, sorry about this. I've actually been using a media journal for a while. Whenever I start something new, I take the approach of just do it now, make it perfect later. So it's not been a system per se, it's literally just that if I'm consuming a piece of media that feels interesting or important or educational, I whip out my journal and I write about it. Summaries, key points, direct quotes, that kind of thing. If I don't have my journal, I'll use sticky notes and copy them over, or sometimes I even use my notes app on my phone and copy them over later. That being said, writing by hand is preferable. Here's a quote from the article The Neuroscience Behind Writing, Handwriting vs. Typing, Who Wins the Battle, on the National Library of Medicine's website. Handwriting activates a broader network of brain regions involved in motor, sensory, and cognitive processing. Typing engages fewer neural circuits, resulting in more passive cognitive engagement. Basically, handwriting engages your brain more, and this is beneficial for learning and memory. Side note for my American friends, are you good? Anyways, that's been my system so far. I basically just force a pause and process step in my media consumption whenever I come across something interesting by stopping to write about it. Obviously, for this video, I needed background visuals, so the spread I'm making is both prettier and way slower than normal. Here are some of my normal pages for comparison. See, ugly. Just this has been really beneficial for me. For one, it's helped me to slow the rate at which I'm consuming media a lot. I'm also way more intentional about engaging with things when they prick my interest, so rewatching them, paying more attention, actually remembering them the next day. Shocking, I know. So, in the true spirit of this media journal, my latest upgrades were inspired by a fabulous YouTube video I watched. Forget your reading journal, do this instead, by Rochelle in Theory. If you're interested in learning and actually retaining information you consume, go watch it. A very loose summary is that Rochelle shares a 3-step system for engaging with content to better remember it. So, step 1 is to make the text yours, i.e. annotation. Step 2 is to write it out, firstly in copying direct quotes, and then paraphrasing, and then adding your own thoughts and opinions to the text. Step 3 is to use what you learn, i.e. implement it in your life, make content about it, talk about it, that sort of thing. Again, this is a very zoomed out overview because you should go watch that video, it's really good. But how does this apply to us today? Well, one of the tips Rochelle shared was putting information where you're going to use it. So for example, I make TikTok content and I spent a long time learning about video structures and short form storytelling a while ago, and I used that information to make templates in my social media content planner. So every time I sit down to write a script or put in a video idea, that information is right in front of me. While my media journal is not necessarily geared at learning, I do want an easy visual reminder for these steps when I do want to use them. So I created a little learning cheat sheet to clip into the front of my journal. I then took it a step further and I made these little designs to make into a tear-off pad for things that I want to note down quickly at my desk. Listen, I don't know why I was thinking that I could like cut things freehand. I made it a bit shit, but you know what, it is what it is. I just needed quick prompts, things that I could note down if I'm like watching YouTube videos while I work. If you want to attempt this at home but better, all you need is some scrap cardboard, paper and PVA glue. This is a useful little life hack. If you ever want to make your own rip-off to-do sheets, you can literally just stack paper, do PVA glue along the edge, and it works like a little notepad. The templates I created for this are available for free over on my Substack. Description will be in the box below. With how much media is available at our fingertips and honestly constantly pushed down our throats, it's not realistic to expect that we can set time aside to analyze and write about everything. However, we can be intentional about slowing that flow of information. We can be intentional about engaging with the media that matters to us rather than letting it be immediately forgotten. And that's the video. I would love to know your thoughts. I know we're all kind of in our own internet echo chambers nowadays, but I've been seeing a lot of content about mass information consumption recently. So if it's also been on your mind, has it changed how you interact with content? Do you keep a media journal of any kind? Let me know in the comments below. If you are curious about some of the media I've been obsessed with this week, or you need some recommendations, along with that free printable, there is a Mindful Media of the Week article up on my Substack, where I share some of my favorite things that I've read, watched, and seen this week. Side note, I'm going on holiday next week, thank fuck. So I'm gonna try and make some bonus videos. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me. Bye. What do a rabid crow girlie and a 17th century philosopher have in common? A Commonplace book. That is a disgustingly apt sentence. However, the words did originate from my brain, and so, though it pains me, I must put them out there for my rightful public condemnation. I'm sorry. If you're unfamiliar with the term Commonplace book, we'll be diving more into what they are and why, if you watch my channel, you'll probably want to keep one yourself. But as a brief overview, Commonplace books are essentially a curated encyclopedia of your own interests. They're a space for you to collect little snippets of curiosity, things you learn, quotes you love, really just whatever captures your interest. And as a thinking, feeling, writing girly, you would think they would be right up my alley. That is certainly what I thought after coming across a few YouTube videos on them a year back. Unfortunately, as is often the case, I was wrong. I tried commonplacing a year ago and proved that theory solidly false. I think I used my Commonplace book twice. And yet, here we are, in a video to conclusively prove whether I live and learn or live and I'm doomed to constantly repeat my own mistakes, because this year I'm trying commonplacing again. Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Mia and I chat shit while I make shit. So if you like making things or just background noise while you do your dishes, hit subscribe. And if you end up liking this video, give it a like, hype, comment for engagement. It really helps the channel and I appreciate it, so thank you. Okay, so what is a commonplace book? In a sentence, commonplace books are a personal encyclopedia of your interests. I know, we said that already, we're getting more into it. They've been around for centuries, it's not a new trend, but there has been a resurgence of social media interest in them recently. So a commonplace book is kind of a brain dump journal, except rather than dumping your own intrinsic thoughts, you're dumping everything that sparks your attention from the world around you. And that can be anything. That can be quotes, interesting facts, recipes, song lyrics, literally anything that you want to add to your personal encyclopedia and store for later. There's a quote I liked from Bookbinders Design's blog on commonplacing, which is, think of it as the difference between telling your own story and collecting the best lines from everyone else's. Commonplacing is a lot less structured than typical journaling. Obviously, you can flex it to fit your needs, but typically my commonplace journal is for very brief updates. Like, I'm hearing something interesting, I'm jotting it down as I come across it, maybe with a little brief thought about it. The whole process usually takes like 2 minutes or less. Whereas my media journal is a space where I sit down, I review, I write really long form entries. They have very different purposes. So commonplace books are actually an incredibly simple premise, and you don't need anything other than a notebook and pen. In fact, I would actively discourage you from making it more complicated than that. At least to start with, because trying to make it pretty and overthinking it, I think is one of the reasons that I failed the first time. Okay, why am I trying commonplacing again? Hypothetically, how narcissistic is it to quote your own videos? I fear the answer to that, unfortunately, won't stop me. In my video on being my own algorithm, my closing thought was, if this doesn't work for you, that's okay. Maybe it's just not for you, or maybe it's just not for you right now. And you might need additional tools or systems in place before it clicks. And I said that because I believe it. Shit is always changing. We are always getting new information and trying new things. And so our foundation and our capacity for certain skills is is also constantly changing. So failing at something once shouldn't mean that we abandon all hope. That's what the climate crisis is for. When I initially tried commonplacing, I was in both my consistently inconsistent phase of journaling and my journaling as an artistic creative hobby phase. Neither of those are bad things, to be clear. I love my junk journals and I froth a sticker, but it just meant that the habit of sitting and writing things down, non-existent. And perhaps more importantly, the urge, the active desire to do so, it just was not there. I'm actually planning a video on this at some point, but there was a really simple thing that completely flicked the switch on written journaling for me last year, and that was focusing outwards. I'd always tried writing inwards about my feelings and my day-to-day life, but I'm English, okay? I don't want to sit there and write about my feelings. I'm too repressed for that, and it just didn't really interest me. So switching to more outward-facing journals like my beloved media journal really and truly unlocked a feral, obsessive love of writing in me. And don't get me wrong, is facing outwards to understand inwards. I'm reflecting on my opinions and beliefs and those forbidden feelings as I'm writing about these external things. But I say this to say, by the end of 2025, the writing habit was in full swing. Being more attentive to the world around me, tick. The urge to collect and hoard my favorite bits of information, unlocked. And so, when I was setting my experiments for 2026, I figured I'd try commonplacing again, and that I might now be in a place to succeed. How to keep a commonplace journal. While it is ultimately up to you how you want to commonplace, there are a few established methods if you want some guidance on how to start. I mentioned the Lockean method earlier during the ad read that I know you totally didn't skip, which is the Zibaldone method. I actually didn't even realize I was using a method until researching for this video. So essentially the Zibaldone method is just collecting things without immediately categorizing them. So you can see this page has the root of a word, a quote about attention, some information about dopamine, and then a phrase I liked from my boyfriend's latest music project. There is no theme here whatsoever, clearly. To quote Bookbinder's design again, this type of notebook is called a Zibaldone, a Renaissance era hodgepodge book named after the Italian word for miscellany. Personally, I think this is probably the easiest way to start, which is why I'm focusing on it for this video, but if you like a little bit more structure, feel free to look into the Lockean method too. Now, while we're not collating information specific to a theme in this book, to make it easier to find information you store, you can add page numbers and an index. Personally, I fill this up retrospectively, but it just means that if I'm writing a script or if I'm in conversation and I want to recall something that's in this book, I can flip to the index and get a quick overview of my notes. At the moment, it's still early days, so I don't need this desperately, but I think it will come in handy later down the track. And that's it. As a how-to, it's really 3 steps. Step 1, add page numbers to your journal. Step 2, add an index so you can refer back to your notes easily. And step 3, go out into the world, find shit you love, collect random snippets of information that prick your interest. Now, I will show you my Commonplace book and some tips that I've picked up over the past month that have kept me using it. But first, I actually want to shine a spotlight on my audience because, like I said, commonplacing is personal to you. This is just guidelines that I've given you. So let's have a little peek at how other people use theirs. I asked my community about their experience with commonplacing, and I got some really thoughtful and some really hilarious answers. I will read a few out and I will link to the post in the description box if you want to read through some more. I started a Commonplace book because of a class I took in uni. I call it my personality book. I write down poetry, quotes from books, playlists, drawings, sticker collages, literally anything I feel fits my personality at the time. For example, my most recent entry was a Snoopy collage. Is also a good way for me to use up my special stationery lol. Comment 2. The name Commonplace never made sense to me and actually made the purpose of the journal seem really confusing and rigid to me. I just call mine a curiosity journal and I note down things I found interesting that I would ponder over but didn't have a place for before. There's rabbit holes for things that started as me wondering why things are the way they are, but also planning patterns for my crafts. There's no real structure to it besides an underlined title and a symbol in the corner for the topic, but that's it. Comment 3. I mainly use mine for logging when it comes to media. I copy poems I want to be able to reread, quotes from any sources I want to look back on, and at the end of the year I list my books read and TV shows/movies watched along with a quick rating. I track these things online too, but it's nice to have something physical that's much harder to lose access to. Honestly, I think people put too much pressure on commonplacing, it's literally just a receptacle for anything you want to keep on paper. You can put whatever you want in there. Comment 4. I've kept a commonplace notebook before I knew what they were called. Certain information from website articles I read, I want to remember. Beautiful quotes or poems I found on Pinterest that describe my inner world, I want to remember. Exquisitely written words from books I read or unbelievable facts I find, I want to remember. I love reading back on what I found interesting. It's a glimmer into my soul. And then this comment actually made me giggle. So Queen, thank you so much. So it says, I took up a commonplace book because of the phone ban at my school. I can't get to my notes app, so now I gotta write all my fan fiction on paper like it's the 1900s. You guys are such good fun. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me. I do appreciate it. Now let's talk my commonplace book. I'm actually going to do this part live, so spoiler alert, my commonplace journal has worked a lot better this time. We're only 1 month into my 3-month experiment, so I can't give you any full conclusions yet, but so far I'm loving it, I'm doing it regularly, and actively feeling the urge to actually turn to this little commonplace book. And as well as the shifts that we've already talked about, I think a few key changes to my commonplace book setup have also helped with that. So this is the milligram passport size refillable journal in burgundy. All the inserts inside, there's currently 3. I mean, it only actually holds up to 3, but they're also all from milligram. I bought this because it's small. If you've seen any of my journaling videos, you will know that I swear by a small journal, especially if you're trying to build a new habit up. So I knew that I wanted something like dinky size. I also knew that I wanted something refillable because through using my Filofax over the past year, I've just learned that refillable things mean that you can really like chop and change if you learn that something doesn't work for you, or even if you just finish your pages and you need to refresh. So I think for most of my journals moving forward, I'm gonna be using refillable systems just because it gives you a lot of like flexibility and customization options, and I love that. Okay, but back to my commonplace journal. So the first section is where I actually keep all of my commonplace notes. The middle section is actually my year of experiments accordion insert. The idea being that I could note things down about experiments as I go, but honestly, I actually might get a separate mini journal for that purely because there's only room for 3 inserts in these journals. And give me a sec. Okay, hi, I'm back. But basically, yeah, there's only room for 3 inserts in these journals, and I have already got 2 experiment themed ones, and we're in January, so we'll see. My third insert is still part of my commonplace, but it's specifically for things that I want to look into a little bit further, whether that's to fact check things I hear or just to mark topics that I want to explore a little bit deeper. I figured having a separate section of my journal for that would just make it easier to refer back to when I find myself bored or with free time. And that is my setup so far. The benefits of commonplacing, a conclusion for now. In all honesty, I can't give you a fully formed conclusion on this experiment yet because we're only a third of the way through, but so far I am loving it. Here are some of the benefits I've observed across this month. I'm engaging more deeply with things I wouldn't have before. A specific example of this is actually Florence and the Machine's latest album, Everybody Scream. I love Florence and the Machine. She is quite easily my most listened to artist, but I wasn't blown away by the album. Outside of a few standouts which became instant favourites, the titular Everybody Scream and One of the Greats. However, as I was working the other day, I put the album on and I listened intently, in the back of my mind thinking, if I hear anything I resonate with, I have this handy little commonplace journal just waiting for me. And I finished the album with 4 pages of song lyrics, a newfound love of it, and an entire page in my media journal with my musings on attention, affection, and appreciation. And bearing in mind, I've listened to this album multiple times before. This also goes for conversations. My partner was telling me about his latest music project, and I loved the name of one of the tracks. It's called The Revolution is Behind a Paywall. And listen, that just spoke to my soul. So I noted it down and we had a whole conversation about his inspiration for it. It sparked an idea for an article that I'm currently writing for my Substack. And yeah, what previously would have been a brief moment, just like oh, well, that's a cool track title, kind of unfolded into something a lot deeper. And in that vein, I find that I'm indulging my curiosity more and as a result becoming more curious. And lastly, it's really interesting to track what topics I'm interested in and what things keep coming up. So that's the video and a little progress report on my second experiment of the year. If you're new to my channel and you are just like lost on what I'm talking about, feel free to check out my 2026 experiment video. And if you missed the first experiment, it was all about trying to be my own algorithm, so you can check that out too. I will say we do have another experiment coming at the end of the month that is kind of a fail so far, but there's still time, so we can chat about that more then. But as always, thank you for hanging out with me. Okay, bye. So you watched all the journal ecosystem videos. You lusted over the Louise Carmen notebooks. And a triple-digit fountain pen went from being inconceivable to possibly the hidden key to all your life's problems. What happened next? I mean, hopefully you hid your card in a really high up place and opted to start with a $20 paper blanks book and a normal pen. Equally pretty in my opinion, with the added benefit of not financially crippling you. But after you totally got the budget-friendly entry option, did your life change? Would TikTok now call you a thought daughter? I sincerely hope the answer is yes. Journaling is wildly beneficial, big fan. However, if you're anything like me, it may not have been love at first right. Ew, I literally don't know why I keep putting these lines into my scripts. It's like a public humiliation ritual in the hopes that YouTube will like my videos. Anyways, the reason I'm making this video, I'm someone who's journaled for over a decade across a mix of blended mediums like bullet journaling and junk journaling, but the long form writing my thoughts down style of journaling only just clicked for me last year, and that is entirely due to the simple changes brought about by one innocent journal. Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Mia and I chat shit while I make shit. So if you like making things or just background noise while you wash your dishes, hit subscribe. And if you end up liking this video, give it a like, hype, comment for engagement. It really helps the channel and I appreciate it, so thank you. Today, I'm doing exactly what it says on the tin. You have not been misled. I am telling you about the journal that kind of changed my life and the 3 simple journaling tips I picked up through using it. So if you've tried but failed at journaling, hopefully these tips will help. Let's go. If you follow me on Substack or YouTube, you will be unsurprised to learn that I'm talking about my media journal, because I literally never shut up about it. Please start a media journal. Now, we're not actually going in depth about the content of this journal today because that's not the point. If you're interested in how I use this day to day or tips for starting a media journal, you can check out this video here. As a brief overview though, my media journal is just a space where I reflect on media I listen to, watch, read, whatever. I basically started it because I realized I was just consuming so much media that I wasn't giving anything an opportunity to impact me at all. It was like pouring water into an overflowing cup. But how did this change my life? Well, it actually changed my life in a few ways, but those aren't the point of this video. So journaling. This journal changed my life because it's the first long form journal that made me want to use it consistently. That made the habit near effortless, that I actually felt compelled to use enough to build something akin to a habit. Because, like I have said, I've tried long form journaling before, many times in fact, and it really never clicked for me. So to sum it up, this is the first journal that embodied the 3 concepts/tips I want to share with you today, and it's those tips that helped me fall in love with this style of journaling. Tip 1. If you don't get anything from writing inwards, face outwards. As a lifelong writer, you would think journaling would be a natural fit for me, and you would be wrong. A lot of the touted benefits from journaling come from using journals to explore your emotions or process your thoughts. So naturally, a lot of prompts around journaling tend to be internal. How do I feel about this thing? What is stressing me out? What am I grateful for? What did I do today? There is absolutely nothing wrong with this. It's an incredibly useful practice, but if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it, and then it's not useful. It's just a blank notebook and another addition to your long list of personal failures. Shit, sorry, I was talking about myself there. The thing is, if you don't enjoy writing about yourself, your day-to-day, your inner world, you actually just don't have to. You can face outwards. For example, through writing about media you watch. And it could be anything, right? You could write about current events, history, a project you've got going on. It could be anything that sparks your interest. But the point is that it doesn't have to intrinsically come from you. And the way that you write about what what you're interested in is still self-reflection. It's still organizing your thoughts and developing your opinions. However, at least for me, it takes a bit of the pressure off, because with diary style journaling, one, I just don't love it or feel excited about doing it 90% of the time, which means I won't do it. And two, there's a chronology to diary style journals that makes consistency feel aspirational. Obviously, it's a journal. Nobody's chasing you with a gun, but listen, don't look at me like that. You know what I mean. Nobody wants to keep a diary and then only update it twice a year. Side note, if you are, like myself, a consistently inconsistent personal journaler, this video has some fun ideas for bulk update pages. But anyways, the whole consistency thing leads me to tip 2. Tip 2, journals are a tool, not a test. I know, it's so simple it should go without saying, and yet, we live in a society. The internet, the commodification of hobbies, it can leave you feeling a bit unintentionally performative, and yeah, I know the call is coming from inside the house, okay guys, now is not the time. Starting a media journal really helped me internalize that journals are a tool, not a test. Largely because, like we mentioned in tip 1, there is no expectance of consistency. There is no chronological order to this. I use it as a tool to digest and remember things I'm interested in as and when they appear, but if that doesn't happen for a week or two, okay, no big deal. I just probably wasn't that interested in whatever I watched that week. It certainly doesn't mean the next time I'm interested in recording something, I'm put off from reaching for this journal again. And I've taken this approach with more of my journals, like my Commonplace journal and my content journal, and that lack of pressure ironically keeps me using them more, because I view them as tools to use when I need them for their specific purposes, rather than a habit or a chore I'm obligated to keep up with. And this leads me nicely to tip 3. Tip 3, writing is thinking. I've heard this phrase used a lot within the journaling sphere online, and I'm parroting it back to you because, well, it's just incredibly true. Writing is thinking. It feels like thinking. It feels like gaining clarity or coming up with new ideas or engaging with media you're consuming more thoughtfully. And that's a really good feeling. Once you tap into it, at least for me, it was something I was organically drawn back to time and time again. It's why I started with a media journal, but I added a Commonplace journal and then a content journal, and then, okay, well, I haven't done my 2026 journal ecosystem yet, so I can't show you the rest, but writing, physical handwriting that is, really activates your brain. And while we're on the topic, it actually activates your brain in a way that typing doesn't. So I've quoted this before actually in my media journal video, but here's a quote from the article, The Neuroscience Behind Writing, Handwriting vs. Typing, Who Wins the Battle, on the National Library of Medicine's website. Handwriting activates a broader network of brain regions involved in motor, sensory, and cognitive processing. Typing engages fewer neural circuits, resulting in more passive cognitive engagement. Plus, you can't open your notebook and get sucked into a social media app. To conclude, once again, this is not to disparage personal journaling. Even with these approaches, you're looking outwards, but you're reflecting inwards. So these are more tips for if you just don't click with personal journaling, but you still sense that you would benefit from journaling in some form. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry I missed my upload last week. I've just been sucked into multiple rabbit holes for upcoming scripts, which is fun, but not optimal for meeting deadlines. So anyways, thank you for hanging out with me. Okay, bye! Far be it from me to discourage you from reading or journaling. However, in the interest of encouraging you to actually love both of these things long term and not fall prey to the deep internalized shame you've carried around since childhood when you inevitably fall behind, I fear I must de-influence you from buying a reading journal. But don't worry, I'll explain exactly why a reading journal didn't work for me and some alternative things I used that did. Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Mia and I chat shit while I make shit. So if you like making things or just background noise while you do your dishes, hit subscribe. And if you end up liking this video, give it a like, hype, comment, whatever. It genuinely really helps the channel, so thank you. Okay, what is a reading journal and why would you keep one? The simplest description is that a reading journal is a dedicated journal where you track what you've read. However, they can be customized to fit so many different purposes that, well, that only really scratches the surface. Reading journals can be a very practical tool, i.e. you want an easy overview of what you've read or what books you've borrowed and their return days. You could use a reading journal to set and track your reading goals or track your reading stats. things like how many pages or hours across each week, what genres do you read overall, things like that. Or they can be a more creative tool to encourage you to engage more deeply with the books you read, a space for long-form reviews and reflection, or for creating kind of art journal style collage spreads dedicated to the books that you really love. Either way, this all sounds great, right? My ex reading journal. This reading journal is absolutely everything I thought I wanted. It's from Papier, clearly beautiful. My boyfriend gifted it to me last year. There's multiple sections, including a little about you, a reading wish list, a borrowing and lending book tracker, a book index, journaling prompts for helping you think about the books you're reviewing, and individual pages and prompts for each book you read. Again, on paper, pun intended, this is perfection. And if you're a type A, hyper-organized, diligent goddess of a being, it might work for you. However, if you are a mere mortal like me, this is a lot. Why this didn't work for me. If you watch content about self-development or even managing ADHD, you've likely heard a lot about friction. I'm sure it's mentioned in other niches, these are just the ones that I've heard it from. So in this context, friction just means anything that is going to prevent you from doing the thing, whatever the thing is. And for this journal, there was a lot of friction. From the get-go, I knew I wouldn't keep up with it for everything I read across my Kindle, phone, and physical books, so I tried to limit it to paper books only, thinking that, with that limited scope, I would be able to keep up with it. As is often the case, I was wrong. Here were some of my main pain points. Time. It's a big time commitment to fill out the main review, let alone all the other little parts too. Having to flip through multiple sections and pages to fill out each thing. The lack of flexibility makes it feel like homework. And it's hard to catch up with when you fall a few books behind for all the above reasons. So, a lot of friction there. And as you can see, I ended up using this journal not really ever, but while this journal wasn't a good fit for me, I did still want some kind of system for tracking my reads throughout the year, so I looked at where there was friction and tried to find ways to remove it. Two things that worked instead. Number one, a small reading tracker. For me, my Filofax Pocket. The biggest thing that's impacted my journaling consistency is ironically how small they are. Small means less friction, there's less to do, less to fill, less mental energy and time to spend. So knowing this about myself, I figured why not just add my book tracker to something that I already regularly use, my Filofax Pocket. For this, I sat down and I thought about what I actually wanted to track. And for me, it's pretty simple. I literally just want a record of what I've read and a brief opinion on it. Something I can easily look back on at the end of the year. So all I really need is the book title, the genre, a star rating, and maybe a line or two about it. This is easy to quickly jot down, and it's also easy to retroactively fill out if I miss a few updates, which I inevitably will. With that in mind, I made some custom Filofax inserts on Canva, I printed them out, and that was it. Now, I think I said this in my journal ecosystem video, but the good thing about a small workspace is that you can add more to it if you need. So while this template gives me a brief overview, I still have the ability to add more in if I want. As you can see, I use the back pages to jot down notes and thoughts, but I could easily also just add in extra paper if need be. As a heads up, these Filofax sheets are available for free on my Substack, and I will also include a direct download link in the description box down below. That being said, I am not a designer. I just make things for myself as and when the need pops up. So to be honest with you, I reckon these might actually be a little bit too small, just because I left a gap for printouts or the book covers, thinking that, like maybe once a month I would print a bunch out and glue them in. You may have noticed I did get a cute little PR package from HP Sprocket that will make that whole process a lot easier, which I'm very grateful. It's very fun. Look at it. It's very cute. I'm having a good time. I'm sure you can tell. But anyways, back to the video. So this is the first method that I use, but what is the second? Number two, a broader media journal for deeper reflections. Now, while small helps me to maintain consistency, there are times when I want to yammer about a book for pages on end. However, if I'm being honest, that's the exception, not the rule. So to give myself a space to do this, minus the pressure or expectation to, I actually have a wider media journal where I write about books, TV TV, content, music, basically any media that I take in that I want to dissect, remember, or just think about a little bit more. I did talk about my media journal and how I use it in this video if you are curious, so feel free to check that one out too. But really the key take home about this is that it's not required. I only complete a more detailed long form spread if I feel moved to. And because it's my overall media journal, not something that's dedicated to books only, I don't feel guilty or like I'm wasting a notebook by not filling out a whole page for every book I read. I also touched on this more in my media journal video, but it's a very handy space for reviewing non-fiction books too, because I have a little learning cheat sheet in the front. Okay, so that's my overall setup. As you can see, I tried to make it as friction-free as possible. Essentially, I have the really easy mode where I can just jot things down quickly. I can do a dump at the end of the week or the month, whatever I'm doing, whatever fits in best with my schedule. And then when I want a space to be more creative or talk about something in a long form format, I have that dedicated space without any of the negative self-judgment for not using that space more. To conclude, ultimately, I'm not discouraging you from starting a reading journal, more encouraging you to not bite off more than you can chew. If you want to track your reading or just engage in reading a little bit more deeply, love that for you. Hopefully this video was helpful in giving you ideas on how to create a system that you'll actually use. Anyways, that is all from, and we finally come to my long-awaited everyday supplies tour. Everything that's available I will link below, and this is really just a snippet of my everyday tools because I'm working on a more in-depth review and declutter video, but I didn't want to keep you guys waiting too long. My top tip for space and budget is using supply books, so sticker books, decorative paper books, etc. And here are my faves, starting with sticker books. The Martina Calvi sticker book is truly a staple. However, she doesn't mass produce, so it is very limited availability. She just did a final restock for this version and released a new one, but yeah, if you want these, you kind of have to grab it quickly because typically even the pre-orders sell out, and I think they're only annual drops. I love this though, it's so worth it. I use it constantly and I think it is still in stock, so run. For also very cute but more easily available options, we've got the Le Bazaar book and Natalie Leet sticker book. I like that these have very different styles, so I have a good combination of stickers to choose from. They're also really economical because there are so many stickers in these, especially compared to buying individual sticker sheets, and it's also just like a lot tidier. Heavy on this tip for letter stickers too. I don't buy them by the sheet anymore ever. I have these books for that. And finally, I also love the junk paper book. For some reason, I wouldn't have ever reached for this one myself, but I got it as PR ages ago and it's been so useful. I actually use it like all the time. Now, I'm not super obsessed with washi tape. The only three I use on a semi-regular basis are these. So this first one is from my favorite Etsy store. Oh, I love everything that she makes, and I will put a little video up of that. If you love stickers, let me put you on to my favorite sticker shop on Etsy right now. As you can see, I am obsessed. I use them all the damn time. The store is called Daughter of Pearl Art, and this one was actually a freebie by the lovely Devon when I commissioned her to make my crow girlies, and our last one was part of the Papier advent calendar. I also have a bunch of stationery at the end of my planner that is also all from the Papier advent calendar. Now, in terms of pens, we're going 3 to 3 because while yes, I really just use whatever I have on hand, my current rotation is, yeah, again, pretty much entirely from the Papier advent calendar. Here's a few of them here. They're pretty, and yeah, I mean, I mostly just use them because I have them, but the fine liners are good. They're fine liners, you can't really go wrong with that. But in terms of like actual writing pens, I can only recommend the ballpoints. All the other ink ones, they're just really frustrating to write with. They tend to come out quite patchy, so yeah, I wouldn't seek them out. Otherwise, my pens have just been grabbed over the years from cheap places like Kmart and Typo. Really and truly, nothing fancy here. And yeah, I mean, really, that's all I use on an everyday basis. So I hope you feel inspired to whip out your own journal. And don't forget, if you are a fellow hobbyist in need of a sturdy desk that can hold your supplies, but also conveniently change heights so you can stretch your back while you work, check out FlexiSpot's website and use my code YTE730 to get an extra $30 off on the E7 and E7 Pro standing desk. I'll put a link in the description with all that information in there too. Okay, thank you to my channel members and thank you to you for hanging out with me. Okay, bye.